迷うやつは弱い。ブルーハーレー。
Hey there, pirates! Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. What if Garp, the marine hero, that stubborn old man who's always punching his grandson on the head, had known all along that Luffy wasn't just some random brat wanting to be king of the pirates? What if he knew Luffy was connected to one of the most feared figures in the world? Not just feared, but maybe legendary, mystical, and even prophesied. What if he knew that Luffy was the sun god Nika? Or at least the reincarnation of the will Nika left behind? I really think there's a lot pointing to this, and honestly, I don't know how we're not talking about it all the time. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. First, let's remember that Garp was Roger's rival. They knew each other really well. When Roger was about to be captured, he entrusted Ace's life to none other than Garp. That's shown in chapter 551, and that brings us to one of the wildest clues. Why would Roger, the greatest pirate of all time, trust his own son, the heir to his will, to a marine vice admiral, basically his enemy? Sure, they had mutual respect, but maybe it was more than that. Maybe Garp knew more than he let on. In chapter 1000, when Luffy declares he's going to be king of the pirates, no one around him really seems to grasp what that actually means. But Garp already knew. If it weren't for him, Luffy would have been captured, or worse, multiple times as a kid. So here's my thought. What if Garp protected Luffy because he knew of an ancient legend? The legend of the sun god Nika is first mentioned in chapter 1018. And it's not just anyone who brings it up. It's Who's Who, a former CP9 agent who heard the story while working under the Celestial Dragons. He says guards from the government used to talk about a legendary warrior of liberation with a huge smile and a rubbery body who freed the oppressed and made everyone laugh. Sound familiar? Let's be real. This isn't a story that would be told to regular Marines. This is the kind of tale passed down among the old guard, high-ranking people like Garp. He fought in the God Valley incident alongside Roger against the Rock's pirates, which included Whitebeard, Big Mom, and Kaido on the same crew. That's in chapter 957, and we still don't know exactly what happened there, just that God Valley disappeared from the map. But here's what I think. It was there that Garp either heard of or saw the power of Nika firsthand. Think about it. If Roger told Whitebeard something, chapter 966, about the man who will inherit the will, and if Whitebeard understood that the D was the key to everything, chapter 576, then there's no way Garp didn't hear it too. So maybe he knew that Luffy's D wasn't just a middle name, it was a much heavier inheritance, maybe even a curse, or an ancient responsibility passed down through generations. And another thing, Garp never liked the Celestial Dragons. He refused to become an admiral. He never bowed to any of them. What if that's because he knows they're the enemies of Nika's will? If we connect that with the mural legend from Elbaf, the one that talks about the first world, the king who flew to the moon, the serpent that created the red line, and the sun god who came as a liberator, it all starts to click. Who's been around long enough to remember all that? Maybe Imu-sama, but maybe also those who heard stories from Joy Boy, or whoever carried the flame of the past? What if Roger knew and told Garp? And what if Garp, knowing all this, tried to protect his grandson from the world government itself? Garp never let Luffy near Mariajois. He handed him off to Dadan, raised him far from the eyes of the Marines, and even let him become a pirate. The only thing Garp ever did was scold him, punch him, threaten to arrest him, but never for real. When Luffy showed up at Eni's lobby, Marineford, and Impel Down, Garp had plenty of chances to stop him, but didn't. And when Ace was being taken to his execution, Garp even cried, chapter 574, but stayed still. Maybe because he knew this was all part of a cycle much older than himself. Now with the reveal of Gear 5 in chapter 1044, everything changes. Luffy's fruit wasn't the Gomu Gomu, it was the Hito Hito no Mi Model Nika, a legendary fruit hidden by the world government because it gave access to the power of the sun god. And who was in the Navy this whole time with access to classified info? Garp. He must have read the reports. He must have heard about the fruit being stolen. He had to have known what would happen if Luffy awakened that power, and he never tried to stop it. On the contrary, he let it happen, and more. In chapter 1090, Vegapunk already hinted that there's a lot about the origins of the devil fruits and what they represent that the government hides. What if Garp knew all that too? Or even was one of the few who figured it out before everyone else? Garp always treated Luffy like someone with a destiny he couldn't change. He tried to steer him toward justice, but never forced him to become a Marine. Because maybe deep down, he knew his grandson wasn't just a rebellious kid, he was the chosen one. The one who would inherit the will of the sun itself. What if this secret weighed on Garp all along? Maybe that's why he was so harsh. Maybe that's why he was always fighting with Luffy. Because deep down, he knew his grandson's path wouldn't be easy. That Luffy would be hunted, tested, and one day would have to face the world's greatest powers. Not as a soldier, but as a symbol. I think if Garp really knows all this, and a lot points to it, then he's actually one of Luffy's biggest allies, even while wearing the Marine uniform. A silent spy, a secret protector, someone who holds the truth but chooses to shield the one he loves from its burden. Because at the end of the day, Garp is just a stubborn old man who loves his grandson, but also knows he can't stop the flame of the sun from rising again. So if we think about it, everything Garp's done from the beginning might have been his way of protecting Luffy, not just from the world, but from himself. Because knowing his grandson might awaken something the world fears more than anything, maybe Garp decided to keep that secret to the end, so he wouldn't influence who Luffy would become. After all, Luffy's never been driven by legends. He's always followed his heart. And maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what Garp wanted to protect. Just imagine if Luffy had grown up knowing he was the chosen one, the so-called sun god. He might have turned out completely different. Maybe he would have chased after a destiny that wasn't really his, and lost the very thing that always made him Luffy. That stubborn, hard-headed kid who laughs in the face of danger and dreams bigger than anyone else. Maybe Garp thought, if he's meant to be the sun god, let it be because he chose to, not because he had to. And now that the whole world has seen Gear 5, they've realized Luffy's not just another pirate. Even Imusama seems to be stirring, afraid of what Luffy might become. Maybe Garp's just been waiting for the right moment to reveal everything. Or maybe he never will, because deep down, maybe he thinks he doesn't have to. Maybe he looks at Luffy and thinks, you're already doing exactly what the sun god would do, even without knowing it. And if that's true, then Garp's already done his part. In the end, he never betrayed the Marines, but he also never turned his back on his own blood. He stayed in the middle, carrying the weight of two worlds, the justice he believed in and the dream his grandson carried. And now, with the world on fire, the God Knights showing up, and the Red Line growing more unstable by the day, maybe the whole truth is about to come out. And when that moment arrives, and Luffy finds out his grandpa knew everything from the start, I don't think he'll be mad. He'll laugh, because he'll understand that Garp didn't keep it from him out of fear, but because he trusted Luffy to figure it out on his own. In his own way, with a smile on his face, feet on the ground or in the sky, and a heart burning like the sun itself. And maybe that's exactly why Garp never said, you are the sun god. Because deep down, he knew the world would find that out just by watching Luffy be Luffy. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.